Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Let's do that audio check first. I am back from vacation. I am waiting for confirmation that you are all good. Perfect. Thank you. Good morning and hello, world. It is crazy how many people have shown up again. Very, very early in the United States, and there are still people showing up. Perfect for Europe and Africa, of course, and really decent for Australia this time as well, because it's in the evening, right? Like 5, 6 in the evening. So that is lovely for the Australians. They normally have to get up 4 in the morning or something like that, or very, very late in the evening. And I'm seeing lots of, hey, Marcus is here. I've seen Ryan. I've seen lots of people that show up all the time for the streams, and this is really cool. This is going to be epic. It's a really good launch day anyway. I'm reading the chat here right now. We've had Rocket Lab launching this morning with Don't Stop Me Now. Worked fine, as I've read. I haven't seen the launch yet. Maybe we can do a quick review of what happened earlier, because I was still in bed then. So yeah, absolutely awesome day. Well, 2 rockets on one day is always a good thing, and SpaceX is going crazy this month anyway. It feels like they're launching a rocket like every second day or so after Doug and Bob. They can't top this anymore anyway, but still, it's such a busy month and there's so much going on. Monday's episode is already produced, and it's crazy what's happened in these past 2 weeks. Last time when I went on a trip, it wasn't really a vacation because it was also work related, going to Kennedy Space Center in Boca Chica, though it was a really awesome trip with Stinger NSW, who's moderating in the chat right now as well. And back then a Starship collapsed, and this time a Starship exploded. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong every time I go on vacation. Something happens in Boca Chica. So but that's going to be a really, really exciting episode on Monday. Of course, I had a lot of catching up to do because so much has happened, and I honestly really tried to not look into it as much as I could while on vacation. I didn't manage completely, but yeah. All right, let me check something real quick. 1 second. So, my moderators are saying I am a bit quiet, but I don't know. My microphone is I could speak louder, but my microphone is like pumped up to the max. So I hope this is not too quiet. Let me just check something else real quick, but everything else is set up the right way. Might have to turn up the stream. I don't know what's wrong with the microphone. I had all the equipment with me because I did a live stream on vacation. Demo Mission 2 decided to be scrubbed and then fell into my vacation, and so I took all the stuff with me, and I of course set it up again. But yeah, it should be fine. All right, this'll do. Okay, let me switch back to the chat so I can actually see what you're saying. I got a first super chat earlier when I wasn't even online yet. Crazy Uncle Bob, thank you for your support. I don't know what you mean with the infidel flying squirrels, but if you can elaborate on that. Thank you for the support, and thank you all for showing up. It's incredible where you all from. I've been reading through the chat, and you're all over the place again. It's amazing how many people are interested in these launches, and it fascinates me every time again. So thank you for showing up. Somebody asked if I look tired. Well, I worked a lot yesterday because, as I said, I had to do a lot of catching up for Monday's episode. So I worked late, like until 11, I think, and then I went to bed, and I slept really bad because I wanted to watch the Rocket Lab launch. And so my inner clock just woke me up in the middle of the night. And then I didn't watch it because I thought, I might want to catch some sleep before the stream. And so the night was kind of, but I'm feeling fine. Thank you very much. And I had a lot of battery recharging on the vacation. It was absolutely awesome. I tweeted a few pictures. If you are following me on Twitter, you might have seen a few pictures of me standing in the mountains and enjoying the time, and it was just absolutely awesome. I even met a fan up on the highest mountain of Germany. Somebody asked me if I was Felix from What About, and that made my day. That was a really, really nice trip. So thank you very much. I'm just fine. I'm still in the process of waking up, I guess. So masked rocket scientist is asking, does the telescope in the back work? You bet it does. Recently I watched the moon with my kids with it, just out of this window actually, which is a perfect location because the moon right now is rising just over there, going over the mountains and then going back down below the mountains again. And so you can just point the telescope out the window. It's of course not aligned, so it won't follow automatically, but it is an absolutely beautiful sight for the kids, especially because they can easily see a lot of details and they're always amazed. And so yeah, I use it as often as I can, and yes, it does work. Thank you for the super chats, Peter. Who's going to get the biggest super chat today? We'll see, but right now Ross is in the lead. Thank you very, very much. Keep it up, Felix. Good to have another good YouTube channel to follow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I just had my 1 year anniversary. If you've watched my 2 streams for the demo mission 2, I even had a little trailer that you can find on my channel about what's happened in the last year. But it's really hard to put that into 3 minutes of video. But I did my best, and yeah, I told my wife yesterday that you know that you picked the right thing to do when at the end of the vacation you can't wait anymore to get started again. So yeah, I'm pumped, and there's a lot of stuff going to happen in the next few weeks. Only it's just amazing. So we'll see about that, and we're back on normal schedule. So Monday and Thursday. Like I said, the Monday episode is already half done, and I'm having fun doing it. And there's so much that happened that I could have done a double length feature episode, but of course the time isn't there for that. So I actually, when I started writing the script for Monday, I had so many things I wanted to put in, and that maybe we can clarify on this live stream a little bit further. But that didn't make it into the Monday episode because that would have went like 30 minutes or so straight. There was so much happening. Oh yeah, how long until the launch? Give me a second. I have my trusty little countdown clock, and if I set that to the correct time again, then we are going to have a little countdown timer. There it is. It's this little guy here. Oh, why is it still saying liftoff? Start. There we go. That should be better. There we go. We got a countdown clock. This is until 9:21 UTC. And if SpaceX is not scrubbing this thing or shifting it or anything, this should be the launch time. And SpaceX surprisingly got their time for the stream right this time, or right-ish. They say they are starting their stream 11:20, which would be 1 minute before launch, which is not going to happen. It's going to be probably the usual 10 to 15 minutes or 20 minutes before launch. So we've got another half hour until the SpaceX stream starts. Today's launch is pretty special for me and Sammy, so Stinger NSW here in the chat, because we saw this booster fly and land already. It's CRS-20 that it flew on, and we were there live in March. So it's kind of a special thing to see it fly again, and it's got reused fairings. It's a ride-share mission. It's the first ride-share mission for SpaceX in combination with the Starlink satellites, I think. There are 3 small satellites on board, each weighing in at 100 kilograms roughly, and they're going to be separated just before the Starlink separation at 12 minutes 34 seconds. So it's pretty easy to remember 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think they haven't confirmed fairing catch attempts for today, but we wouldn't see them anyway because it's a Starlink launch, and that deploys 15 minutes. Let me just look into the timeline. It normally deploys like around 15 minutes after launch. This time is actually 26 according to the timeline, but the fairing catch normally is 45 minutes after launch. So SpaceX will probably already be offline by then. And we have another super chat. Thank you very much, Fred. Hello from Evesham, England. Here is some cash to keep you going. Love from Fred and Anne. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All the money still, I'm still fundraising for the 4K camera. We're at roughly 1,200 right now, and the camera costs 2,500. So we're halfway there. And every super chat that comes in today and probably for the next 2 or 3 live streams will go into the funding for the 4K camera, so I can finally say goodbye to my trusty Sony Alpha 7 II and upgrade to a Sony Alpha 7 IV, which does 4K at 120 FPS, I think. So that'll give me some needed room for better recording for episodes, and everybody will benefit from it, basically. That's what I always put all the super chat money and the Patreon money. If you decide to become a Patreon or YouTube member, all of that money goes into buying equipment for the studio. So the last Patreon and YouTube member goal, for example, which got done 3 weeks ago, I think, is going to give me a new microphone. So this thing is going to say goodbye. Maybe it's going to go to my wife, and I'm going to upgrade to an even better quality microphone. I haven't bought it yet because I was on vacation, and outside there's a big truck passing by. I hope you don't hear it that much. And yeah, so I always reinvest all the money you give me on Super Chats and Patreon to improve the quality of the show. I think that's the best use for the money anyway. Let me just look into a few questions if you've had some. So we had a question from Stephen Klöden. Is this full-time now, Felix? So if you mean if I am doing a full-time job on YouTube, then yes. The channel has been growing like crazy, and I'm super glad about all the support I'm getting, and it actually enables me to do this full-time. So I work normally more like 6 days a week on episodes, interviews, live streams, and all that kind of stuff. I'm enjoying it hugely, like as much as I've never enjoyed any job in my life before. So again, thank you for the support, for enabling me to do this. I've got some really nice things planned for the future too. I'm planning another live stream with Marcus House, who's in the chat right now, and TJ from I Need More Space. I don't know if he's here, probably still sleeping. It's very early in the morning in the US. And this time we're going to have Apollo astronauts joining us for the re-entry of the capsule, which is going to be an amazing insight. As you know, these guys have done re-entries on Apollo capsules, and we're going to do the comparison between back then and between today and what might have changed. So that's going to be super exciting to have. Hopefully we're going to even have 3 Apollo astronauts joining us, which would be absolutely awesome. But we'll have to see about that. We've got one confirmation already, so there are going to be Apollo astronauts. And that should be really nice. Actually, one of them I know. I've done an interview with him before. It never made it onto one of my episodes because I forgot to turn on the microphone. Back then I was a complete noob with all this stuff, and I seriously didn't turn on the microphone, and it's the biggest the stupidest thing I've ever done so far on the channel, and he's giving me a really nice opportunity to repeat this time with a functioning audio, so that's gonna be really nice. I got more super chats. Thank you, Mike. Camera bucks, exactly. It goes onto the slowly growing pile of money for the camera, which is insanely expensive, but it's the way to go. Any professional YouTuber is using a 4K camera, and I found out really quick that it actually gives you a lot of benefits, especially when you record stuff outside. You have much more space to zoom in, for example, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's slowly getting there. And we've got Cassed K. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for all you're doing. I especially love your analysis on Starship. Yeah, we have a lot of analysis going on Monday, of course. Nice animations coming by Nick again, who does the stacking animations, and we've thought of a really nice idea of doing a size comparison of something that's coming up in Boca Chica. I don't want to say too much, don't want to spoil the episode, but that should be a rather cool thing to see. And we have a new channel member. Thank you. Absmith, thank you very much. Absinthe. There you go. I'm sorry, I butchered the name. All right, we have more questions. I'm sorry for being so slow today. I have so much stuff to talk about. Will we be able to see the satellites in the UK? Preston Swooper asked. Not with the launch now, because it's daytime, of course, so you won't be able to see them, but on the next few passes you might. I haven't checked yet, so there's not going to be a run outside camera action today because it's bright daylight here, so we won't be able to see it after launch. But there should be passes. There are some if the moderators could put out a link into the chat, there are some really nice websites where you can check the Starlink orbits and see when they are going to pass, and the best times to view them are normally just after dusk or just before dawn, because then the sunlight hits the panels in the perfect way and they shine the brightest. But not on the first pass today, not at least not for Europe. And normally they take a long curve bend around Australia all the time, so the Australians are really in bad luck every time the satellites fly around Australia. So yeah, it's not going to be a directly after launch viewing opportunity today, sadly. But on the other hand, it's a good viewing time for everybody else, so we must have that too. What booster is launching today? So today is booster. I have that written down here somewhere. If somebody could put that into the chat, the number of the booster, I don't know if I can find it like instantly in my notes, because I have to find a different way of B1059. The last launch B1059 had was CRS-20, which I saw together with Sammy, who's moderating the chat right now. I said that earlier. And so it's a 1059.3. The .3 means it's the third launch. And the last launch it did was CRS-20, which is absolutely awesome. And which was my first rocket launch ever live, and it was a night launch, and I watched it on the Starfleet Tours boat. So we drove out of the Cape Canaveral harbor and watched it from the water, and it was, if you ever have the chance to watch a rocket launch live, do it. Go there. It's absolutely amazing. It's mind-blowingly beautiful. So yeah, that's the booster for today. When live stream Marcus and Felix, yeah, Stephen Tracy. The next stream with Marcus and me, and probably and most likely also TJ, will be the re-entry of Crew Dragon when they come down again. There's no date yet for that, I think, but it should be in roughly 2 to 3 weeks, if I'm not completely off. And I've been persuading Marcus to do some more launch streams with me, so bear with me, I'm working on it, because I think he's doing a really, really nice job streaming, and it was so much fun doing it together with him. And I've been talking to him for half a year now that he should definitely do some launch streams. And so yeah, I'm gonna get him there. He's watching right now anyway, so I'm gonna get him there, don't worry. Roman Joe is asking, wouldn't it make sense to have separate starships for several tasks? One for Earth orbit, one for orbit to Mars, and one for Mars to Mars surface. This weight could be saved. That's my idea as well. We now have a lunar starship, which is its own thing for orbit to lunar surface. It's just going to launch once, because it doesn't have a heat shield. It can't re-enter the Earth atmosphere, but it's supposed to fly as a taxi or actually more like a semi-truck between orbit anywhere, like low Earth orbit to lunar orbit to lunar surface. And I think that's the first step into exactly that direction. We've already seen the Starship user guide, payload guide, which suggests that there are going to be different fairing types, like the clamshell and a crewed version and a tanker version fairing. And my thought was, it still is not confirmed, that this might be a modular setup, so that the fairing section actually is separated, and that the Starship is two parts, basically. So it's super heavy, and then Starship being two parts as well. It's not confirmed, and I could be completely off, and it was just a wild speculation, but that if I had to build a Starship, I would try to make it like that, with an adapter in the middle, and so you can replace the fairing, and so you can use it for different tasks, exactly as you said. Because if you, for example, perfect example is the lunar surface, the lunar Starship, it doesn't need a heat shield. So why put a heat shield on it if you just need it once, or maybe never? And so, exactly. There's nothing confirmed, though. The only thing confirmed is the lunar Starship, and anything else will have to wait. It's just speculation, but it would make sense, in my opinion. Yes, good question. Thank you. Chris, DJ Dapper Dan, thanks for showing up. We're watching you on our TV. For an old man, that is amazing. Say hello to Mrs. Brown for me, please. My wife. It will surprise her. Hello, Mrs. Brown. Good morning, or actually very early morning. I guess you're in the States, and so enjoy your morning coffee. Nice to have you here, and thank you for joining me on today's launch. It's hopefully going to be awesome. Masked rocket scientist, what about it? What do you think about the fairing footage from SpaceX? The last one, if you mean Starlink 8, was absolutely amazing. I loved how you could see the second stage pass by. It's always incredible, in my opinion, to get this clear footage of anything from SpaceX. They're doing an absolutely brilliant job with setting up their cameras. They're actually using GoPros, funny enough, and they're doing an awesome job. Seems to be anywhere they're doing an awesome job. If it's deep sea or in space, they work. And I really, really love how they present their launches, how they give us so much different footage to actually look at these different aspects, because it's absolutely interesting to see what's happening when a fairing re-enters the atmosphere, or when a booster lands, or when the satellites get separated, and all of that is covered by SpaceX. And I think the only other launch provider in the world that does a similar job is Rocket Lab. And I really wish that all the others would step up their game. They're slowly doing it, but, well, on some missions you have restrictions, like DoD missions, ULA DoD missions, for example. They are forced to shut down the cameras after a certain point, because it's top secret stuff, parts of it. X-37 to just name one of them, and so they can't film that. But even on launch and stuff, like, they have lots of condensate on the lenses most of the time and all that kind of stuff, and SpaceX just doesn't normally, and it's just amazing how well of a job they do. So yeah, I loved the fairing video snippet that SpaceX released, and I always watch that kind of stuff. It's really amazing to see that. Good question. Shattered Star Games. Hi all, I love your vids, bro. Keep it up. Wow, why is the launch window so late? Is it weather related? The launch window is actually, for me, it's pretty early, and for the United States, it's even earlier. It depends on where you are. Starlink launch windows are very, very flexible, because it's all SpaceX's equipment. They don't have to wait for anybody, and they can adjust a lot of stuff with the. So they have a lot of different orbits they want to put satellites into. So they can basically just choose which patch of satellites to launch next, and so they can kind of pick the orbits, and so they can kind of pick the launch windows, kind of, because they, of course, have to do it in some sort of order to actually get some service going as quick as possible. But still, they can select their orbits, and so they can vary as much as much more than a traditional launch, for example, to the ISS or something like that. So yeah, the orbits determine the launch windows, and so that because they can pick the orbits, they can determine the launch windows, so to a certain extent at least. Tam Hewitt Baker, thank you for showing up. That's another name I know. I know you didn't ask, but the Rode NTR Premium Active Ribbon microphone is fantastic quality and has a lovely crisp sound. It is around 400 pounds, but I think it is worth it. The one I am planning to get is let me just check real quick. I don't it's the microphone that everybody uses. That's actually why I picked it. And I don't know where I have my goals. There they are. Let me just see real quick. It is a there we go. No, that's not it. I think I can't find it. Oh, then it should be all the way down, of course. There we go. The new microphone and a boom. A Shure SM7B, if that tells you anything. It's supposed to be a really, really good microphone, and supposedly everybody uses it. It's like if you watch Joe Rogan, he speaks into that microphone. If you watch Tim Dodd, he has the same microphone. Everybody seems to have this microphone, and that's why I picked it. It's not 400 pounds. It's a little cheaper, and I'm happy about that because 400 pounds is really expensive for a microphone. My budget is still a bit limited, and I'm really, really happy that I'm able to afford this kind of microphone. So I hope it does what it's supposed to do, and if it doesn't, I'll return it, but I doubt it because, like I said, many, many people use it. Framrig, thank you for the super chat. That's much, much, much appreciated. It goes into the 4K camera fund. Thank you very much. Night Fox, how many launches does 1059 have under its belt? 3 is... It's doing the third launch today, I think. I hope I'm right here because I hate putting out wrong facts, but I'm pretty sure it's the third launch today. That's hence the 3 in the back. It's the same system they also use on capsules. When they reuse them, they put the point and a number behind it. That indicates how many launches it does. Yeah, this is the third flight of this booster for today. Let me just check something real quick. Yep, so 1 second. My insanely loud keyboard. There we go. All still set. Okay. I just checked if recently we had a lot of scrubs, and I'm kind of paranoid on scrubs right now, but the weather report looked really nice as well, so it's all still go for launch. So let's do some more questions here. Tamaz Nagy, thank you very much for the super chat. Hi Felix, do we know something about SpaceX astronaut training for Mars missions? Regarding that, such a training could last 4 years. How accurate the 2024 target for human missions? That is actually a topic I'm trying to tackle with Marcus House right now. What is needed to actually get the Mars colony going on Mars and on Earth? Because in my opinion, the stuff on Earth hasn't been covered that much yet. There are lots of videos out there about what's needed on Mars, but there's not that much out there about what's needed on Earth. And I've tried to tackle it before because you would need 1,000 starships, which first of all is a logistical problem. It's a nightmare for any engineer. And you need the astronauts. That's a good question. Exactly. There is nothing known yet about SpaceX training astronauts for Mars, but it is there are 2 different opinions about that. Ryan here, if he's still on the chat, has a very, very good point in that the first colonists that go to Mars will need to have a lot of different skills because they will be alone out there, and if anything happens, all of them will have to do all these tasks. So if you just send one medic and he's the one with the injury who does it. And that goes on with everything, basically, even repairing, computer work, science projects, everything. Everything will have to be done by these few people without any help in reach. It takes a long time to send. If you've watched The Martian, you know how long that can take, even though the movie is very unrealistic in some aspects. It got that right. It is a long distance travel, and it takes a long time to do any sort of rescue missions or send help. And so these astronauts will have to have a proper training, that's for sure. And it's hard to say how long that takes because we don't have any comparison. We can just compare ISS astronaut training right now, because even the moon astronaut training has been such a long time ago that the number might not even be relevant anymore, because today they train differently. They have different resources. They use all sorts of different learning techniques like VR and stuff like that. Bob and Doug trained for the ISS mission in with VR headsets, and they didn't have that in the Apollo age. So it's really hard to say, and there's nothing known yet officially from SpaceX that I would know of. If there's anybody in the chat who has different information, please share, and to my moderators, please pick it up because that would be really helpful for the episode, because there's a lot of speculation right now and no hard facts. So yeah, that's a very, very interesting topic. And like I said, I'm trying to cover it with Marcus, and we'll see how good we do. It's one of those collaborations that take a lot of time, though. So don't expect a video in the next 2 weeks. But down the line, we're working on exactly that topic to try to decipher what would be the right steps and what would be the stuff needed to because it's you can always say we're going to build a starship and then send it to Mars and then have a colony, but there are a lot of steps missing in that. So, and we're trying to check out what these steps might be, and one of them is astronaut training. Yeah, thank you, good question. We have a lot of questions here. We have Andrew Hickman. If they make Starship modular, should Crew Starship have an abort option? It kind of does. Musk went into it a while ago that Raptor engines can spin up really, really fast and that they should be able to escape a blast from a booster. But the problem really comes down to reusability. If you want to reuse 100% of a rocket, it'll be heavier, of course, because everything needs to be tougher, everything needs to be redundant and built better, and so on and so forth. So you lose some of your payload capacity. If you then add a crew escape system, you lose more of that of that capacity. And if you look at the statistics, Tim Dodd did an absolutely awesome video on that. How many people have actually been saved by launch escape systems? It was like, what, 3 people? It was a really, really, really small number of people that actually were saved by this kind of system. So the question actually validly comes up if such a system is necessary, is needed. It might sound harsh because there are people on top of the rocket and inside of a starship, but you have to find a balanced way, and doing a launch escape system on a starship is really, really hard to do. You would have to have some sort of crew cabin detach system that would add a lot of weight and complexity. And Musk said that on the early planes you had parachutes so that you could jump out of your double decker and fly down if something happens to the plane. Nowadays, if you would imagine you book a flight for your vacation and you step on your plane and they hand you a parachute, how do you feel about that? You would probably be like, is that really necessary? I thought the plane was secure. And that's the point. If you can actually manage to make a rocket as secure as an airplane, and that's actually what SpaceX is trying to do. They want to refly these 100 times, 1,000 times with quick turnaround times like an airplane. So to do that, they'll have to make them insanely safe. And if they make them insanely safe, they won't need the escape system. But, of course, we'll have to see how this turns out and if they can actually manage to make them as reliable as they would need to be for that, and so on and so forth. But right now, launch escape system, I think, is not planned for starships, even though NASA will have trouble certifying or human rating starships without that, but SpaceX is trying it at least, and we'll see how it turns out. It's a good question, and it's a deep rabbit hole I could probably dive into for the next 20 minutes, but we don't have the time. So good question. Thank you very much. We have more super chats. Real life and games. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It goes into the 4K camera fund. Does anyone know how many test stands there are in Boca Chica, 2 or 1? Greetings from the Netherlands. 1 got destroyed with serial number 4. It's like completely crushed, and they have replaced it with the one they were already building at the site. I have something planned for the Monday episode because RGV aerial photography did an absolutely awesome overpass with an airplane and took some really, really nice aerial shots that I will use on the Monday episode. And I've asked for permission and I didn't get an answer back, but I became a Patreon, and if you are watching this right now, please let me use the footage because it is absolutely awesome, and I really hope that you can repeat that flight. And in that footage of the launch site especially, you can see some really, really nice development. I don't want to spoil the Monday episode, but there is something coming there regarding launch mounts, and I think it's going to be huge. And I now have probably said far too much, but watch my Monday episode. So right now there's one stand that I know of, besides the ones they are doing they've built serial number 7 right now, which is going to be another of those test tanks, a bopper, as the Nerdle says on the Lab Padre. And that's going to be another pressure test. It's related to the new steel they're using now, 304L. And that comes with its own, little jig. But that's not really a launch stand like the ones they used for serial number 4, for example. So there's just one of those right now that I know of. Good question. Thank you. Poxy Clips. Thank you for the super chat and for the support. You don't know how much this means to me. Seriously, thank you. This is towards your L400 microphone. Thank you very, very much. David Rains, another super chat. Thank you. Just got a new TV, need more 4K content. Exactly. There are so many people out there now with 4K panels, and there is so much more I can do with 4K footage as well. So the problem is the mix. My camera has 1920, and then there's rendered footage, for example, that I use that has 4K, and all that kind of stuff mixes up, and then you have to do interlaced frames and all that kind of stuff, and it really messes up the video quality. And if I have a 4K camera, I can start at 4K and work my way down, which is always better than starting low and working your way up in the resolutions of all the different footage snippets that I use. So that's going to be a huge quality improvement for my episodes. So thank you for all the super chats. I'm so looking forward to the new camera. Candy Eye Studio. Hey Felix, hi from the UK. Do you think the canards will have flaps? I don't know of flaps for the canards, no. And I don't think it would be needed either, because the canard fins and the aft fins are not there for they're not supposed to Auftrieb in English. What's the English word for Auftrieb? Auftrieb. I'm missing the English word. That keeps the plane flying. They are not supposed to create updraft. I don't know the English word. Probably the chat is racing right now, but I'm not looking into it right now. Lift, exactly. Thank you. And they are not supposed to create lift. They create lift in certain scenarios, but they're not supposed to create lift. And so you don't need flaps, because flaps are supposed to create more lift. When the plane goes slower, you extend the flaps and you create more lift. I'm a pilot, so I've done it myself, and it works wonders if you want to glide while landing. Starships don't glide while landing; they fall through the atmosphere, and then they do the belly flop maneuver right before they touch down, and they touch down like a Falcon booster, so vertically, and so they wouldn't really need flaps. And I haven't seen any concept of flaps on starships. Yes, Jacob, I'm an ultralight pilot. I fly paramotors, same as Kevin from SpaceX Centric, and I'm hoping to start my actual pilot plane license this year if I have the time at all, which I don't have right now, but it's been a dream for me for a long time, and ultralight licenses are not that expensive. It's about the same as if you want to get a motorcycle license. The flying itself later on is a little bit more expensive, but not that much actually if you stay with ultralight planes. So yeah, I enjoy everything that is above sea level. Including rockets, of course. So the canards will probably not have flaps. Sebastian Farkas, I have a question. At the test site, there are a lot of black tanks, some even recently painted black. Isn't that for cryogenic fuels? Wouldn't that heat it up even more than reflective white? As far as I know, the black tanks are water tanks. A few of them got hit by shrapnels when serial number 4 blew up. So I've asked myself the same question. Why are they painting them black? Because white would help to keep them cool. Same thought as you. I still don't really know why. If somebody in the chat does have a valid answer for that, I would be more than happy to know, because I've had the same question. I didn't dive into it, so I didn't research it. But I think the black tanks mostly are water tanks. Hopefully. I'm not saying total stupid stuff here, but that's what I think. So I'm trying to read the chat right now, but nobody's saying anything about that. So probably nobody knows about it either. Heat the water for pressure. Yeah. Like I said, I haven't done the rabbit hole about the color of the tanks yet. I've noticed it the same way you do. Heat radiation. Yeah. That's another thought I had as well. For example, if you look at the at Maasai, for example, or Bantu, all those tribes that live in the desert, they don't clothe themselves in white, because black actually does a really good job of insulating as well. So yeah, Falcon uses black paint for heat protection. Exactly. So I'm not the best with that anyway. With the common sense would be white and it's cooler, but apparently it isn't in some cases. And so like I said, I haven't dove into that rabbit hole before. I hope that was grammatically correct. Anti-rusting paint, exactly. Who knows? I haven't done the research on that yet. Thick white, yeah, I know. Some do thick white, some do black, and both seem to do something. Perhaps preventing algae growth, yeah, but that would only be if actually there was light coming through the tanks, which I don't think so. Yes, I'm from Germany. So how much time do we have left on the counter? 18 minutes 43. Let me just check something real quick so we don't miss anything. The stream from SpaceX isn't up yet. So we'll have to wait a little bit longer. If any of my moderators see the SpaceX stream going up while I am still talking, please flash my little light so I don't miss it, because sometimes I do really long answers. I'm trying to do a few more of those here real quick. Peter, thank you for your super chat. And Poxy Clips is winning the super chats at $1.50, which is absolutely amazing. Thank you for the support. It helps so much you can barely imagine. J Thor, do you think that when the space race is reopened, foreigners will be able to work on SpaceX or NASA? The problem is the law system in the United States, and that they are very, very careful, rightfully so, with foreign workers on sensitive stuff. For me, for example, it is nearly impossible to get any access to more sensitive stuff, including, for example, the VAB at Kennedy Space Center. It is really, really hard for me to get in there, even though I'm doing a YouTube channel about space, and it should be clear that I'm not in any way a terrorist or anything, but it's law, and it's understandable after what happened in the past, and we'll have to wait and see about that. But in my opinion, space is an international effort, we can't colonize the solar system with one country. It won't work like that. So if we want to do anything serious, we'll have to keep working together as we've done so on the ISS and many other missions too. For example, Artemis. Europe is providing the service module for the Artemis capsule, and all that kind of stuff is absolutely necessary. So whenever somebody approaches me and says, "Ooh, the Chinese are copying Falcon 9 rockets right now," I say I'm all for it, because if they start copying it, more people will start copying it. That means the launch costs worldwide will go down. That means more and more nations will be able to set up an actual footprint in space, and so on and so forth, because it can't be done by one player, in my opinion. So they better find some sort of solution to work together even better in the future. Yes, good question, but really, really hard to answer, unfortunately. We have a new member, Huberzep. Thank you very much. That sounds very Bavarian. Are you from Bavaria? I just went there for vacation, and it's a lovely place. I have an aunt living in Munich, and I always enjoy being down there. And Huberzep definitely sounds Bavarian. David Baird, can you shout out to my son, Charlie? He's a big fan. Hey, Charlie, thank you for watching. If you're watching right now, thank you for being a fan. Of course, you get your shout out. We're really, really close to the launch now, 15 minutes to go, and I hope you enjoy this. If you're in the States, if you hopefully had breakfast already, and yeah, thank you for watching. Recently, by the way, I even had a Patreon who approached me because his son turned 10, and he wanted all the space YouTubers, because his son is a really, really big space fan as well, and he wanted all the space YouTubers to do a little birthday greeting, and at least I did one. Marcus House did one. I don't know if anybody else did, but I love this kind of stuff. So if you have anything like that, I always like to inspire kids, especially because it is there will be a lot of stuff happening in the space industry later, and so we'll need a lot of people for that. So anybody inspired at young age, working into STEM and maybe getting into the space industry is a good thing. So yeah, keep at it. Do you think that when J Thor, do you think that when the space race is okay, so we had that already. There we go. And then Kronlon did another super chat. Thank you. Good to have you back. It's good to be back. I couldn't wait. The last few days of the vacation, I was like treading from left to right. There we go. The SpaceX stream just went live. Let me this should be the right setting for that. Yeah, because there's not that much happening there right now. So we'll just keep that in the background, and we'll turn this off here. And let me just figure this out real quick. We have audio. There we go. I'll turn this down a little bit because there's just music playing right now. Okay, so we're closing in on the launch. Anybody who I have not mentioned, or anybody who I have not answered the questions of yet, as always, I do another. I answer questions until I go offline every time, because, like I say on so many streams, it's the best way to interact with all you people who are not patrons or channel members or whatever. And so I enjoy that very much. Save your questions for later. Or right now there's not that much happening here, but we'll have to wait and see when they actually go live. Just turn this down. Maybe I can do another 2 or 3 questions. Let me see. We have DLA. What do you think about the possible struggle to generate the electricity needed for the Sebacean process? Sebacean process, for anybody who doesn't know, is producing methane on Mars. Methane and I think oxygen and water. There will be a lot of electricity needed for that, and SpaceX has, or Elon Musk and SpaceX have said several times that they are planning to use solar power. I know there are lots of arguments about that, because there are sandstorms on Mars. They could cover the panels. What do you do then if you don't have solar power for 2 or 3 months at a time? and so on and so forth. And then there are people saying that you need a nuclear reactor, which Musk has already said that he doesn't want to use it, and it would be really hard for him to use it either way, because anything, if you're not a government agency and you want to do stuff with radioactive material, it is really, really hard to get the permit for that, the permission, and it is really expensive and so on and so forth. So I think if they are using nuclear on Mars, it won't be something SpaceX produces. They won't make their own reactor and send it up to Mars, so somebody else would have to do that. But initially they're planning to go for solar, football fields of solar panels, lots and lots of solar panels. So yeah, I've had that on my interview with Robert Zubrin. I dove into that subject, which is rather interesting because he's done a lot of research, especially into power generation on Mars. So he had all the numbers. I would suggest looking into that. There is even timestamps under the video in the description, so you might be able to jump towards the segment you want to watch. There should be more info in there. We have SciArt. What about it? Do you know why? This is just the trailer. Why the tank from, probably wanted to say serial number 7, will be tested before serial number 6 and serial number 5 in that case. Yeah, because it's 304L stainless steel. It's the new steel that SpaceX is planning to use for at least parts of their Starships in the future, until they have their own custom alloy, which is going to be even different than 304L. And they just want to test the steel because it has different welding properties. So there we go. Now let me turn up this real quick here.
Looking at a live view of Falcon 9 as it awaits its 5:21 a.m. Eastern Time launch from Cape Canaveral Space Launch Complex 40 in Florida. Hello from SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. My name is Jesse Anderson, and I'm a lead manufacturing engineer here at SpaceX. You're watching a live webcast for our 9th Starlink mission and our 10th mission this year. It's been just 10 days since our last Starlink launch, which was also from Pad 40. For those keeping track, that's a SpaceX record for the fastest pad turnaround. From launch to launch, we're looking at a remarkable 9 days, 7 hours, and 56 minutes. To date, we've launched over 480 Starlink satellites to orbit. And as a reminder, Starlink is a constellation of satellites that can provide high-speed, low-latency internet all over the globe, particularly in remote or rural areas where connectivity is limited or completely unavailable. And we have another notable first to mention. Today's mission marks our first small sat rideshare mission on a Starlink launch. Our customer, Planet, who is the operator of the largest constellation of Earth observation satellites, is sending up 3 high-resolution satellites on this mission. These 3 SkySats will be joining 15 already in orbit, and 3 more will be deploying on a separate Starlink mission later this summer, which will complete their fleet of 21 SkySats. What's really quite remarkable is the contract for the rideshare was signed just 6 months ago. As part of our new rideshare program, we're offering sun-synchronous orbit missions approximately 3 times a year and have a frequent launch opportunities to mid-inclination. For details or to reserve your spot, head over to our website, spacex.com/rideshare. In order to make room for Planet's 3 SkySats, instead of launching 60 Starlink satellites, as we've traditionally done in the past, today we'll be sending 58 into low Earth orbit. Planet's SkySats will deploy in 3 sequential maneuvers beginning at about 12 minutes after liftoff, and the Starlink satellites will deploy approximately 14 minutes later, or 26 minutes after liftoff. Now, we won't see the Starlink satellites deploy today since we will not have ground station coverage at that time. However, we will keep the webcast going until we reconnect with the satellites at about T+39 minutes to get confirmation of a successful deployment. So we're at T-minus 8 minutes and 10 seconds and counting, and all systems are go for an on-time liftoff this morning. If for any reason there is a hold on the countdown today, we do have a backup launch window opportunity tomorrow at 4:59 a.m. Eastern.
Okay, fun fact, I'm just killing the audio here real quick. The booster didn't do a static fire, so because it's a Starlink mission and it's a SpaceX booster, and besides the little rideshare, everything on the mission is SpaceX. They chose to not do a static fire. That's probably why she mentioned that there could be a halt on the countdown, because I think this is a first.
The third flight for this booster, it previously supported our most recent cargo Dragon missions, CRS-19 and CRS-20. The bottom 2/3 of the vehicle is the first stage, and if you look closely, you can see the soot markings still on the vehicle from its previous 2 flights. The first stage has 9 Merlin engines that do the bulk of the work to get Falcon 9 off the ground and up into the thinner parts of the Earth's atmosphere before separating from second stage and making its way back down to Earth for landing. Today, we will be attempting to recover this first stage for the 3rd time on our drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You, which you can see there on your screen, is out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, about 350 nautical miles northeast of our Cape Canaveral, Florida launch site. On top of the first stage is the interstage, which is that black segment of the vehicle. And the reason it's black compared to the rest of the vehicle is because it is unpainted TPS, or thermal protective system, which protects the composite material that the interstage is made of. The interstage is what connects the stage 1 to stage 2, and as well protects the second stage's single Merlin vacuum engine during launch. That Merlin vacuum, or MVAC engine, ignites after the first stage separates, propelling the second stage along with the SkySats and Starlink satellites into an elliptical orbit above the Earth's surface. From there, the SkySat rideshare satellites will separate, and about 14 minutes later, the 58 SpaceX Starlink satellites will deploy. Falcon 9 has been loading propellant since T-minus 35 minutes. And as a reminder, Falcon 9 uses rocket-grade kerosene, or RP1, as our fuel, and super chilled liquid oxygen, or LOX, as our oxidizer. Currently, RP1 and LOX are nearly fully loaded on both stages, and LOX will continue to be topped off right until the last minute of the countdown. The stack of 58 Starlink satellites and 3 SkySats are safely enclosed inside of that 17-foot diameter payload fairing that you can see on your screen, which is that structure at the very top of the rocket. This protects the satellites from aerothermal heating, aerodynamic loads, and contamination during ascent. Once we reach the vacuum of space, we no longer need them, and we will jettison the fairing halves while the second stage continues to orbit. The fairing halves we are using today flew on previous but separate missions. One half flew on JCSat 18 in December of 2019, and the other half flew on our first Starlink launch in January earlier this year. Now, we will be attempting to recover the fairing halves today using our recovery ships Mystery and Mischief. There you can see them on your screen. At approximately T plus 40 minutes, the team will perform a poll to confirm if we're all good to make a safe catch attempt. Weather plays a big factor in the go, no-go decision for the catch attempt, as it can impact not only the sea states for the boats, but also the fairing's altitude, position, and speed, which impact how the fairing will fall back to Earth. Now, we've been keeping an eye out on...
Kill the volume here real quick again. It's funny enough to see that the two ships are so far apart that for one ship it was still night and the other one already had a sunset.
Just about 3 minutes and 45 seconds from now. For those of you that don't know much about the Starlink program, our mission is to bring high-speed, low-latency internet to people all over Earth. And every one of these Starlink missions gets us closer to achieving that goal. Some of the most exciting opportunities for Starlink are locations where traditional fiber or cable is simply not practical, such as rural or remote communities. It's also an exciting place for where fiber and cable are impossible, such as aircrafts or cruise ships. This is a big endeavor, and we have a lot of work ahead of us, but today's launch gets us one step closer to these ambitions. On our last Starlink mission just over a week ago, we captured some really cool footage of fairing deploy, which we wanted to share with you today.
Yeah,
And there you can see on your screen the fairing deploy. You can see the second stage clearly with the Starlink satellites making their way to their targeted orbit. One of my favorite videos that I've seen so far. If you're interested in getting future news about Starlink, about our Starlink service, head over to starlink.com and sign up for updates. We're currently at T-minus 2.5 minutes from liftoff, and Falcon 9 is now moving into the final stages of the countdown. The first and second stages are both nearly fully loaded with 1 million pounds of kerosene fuel and liquid oxygen.
Yes.
Super chilled liquid oxygen, which, as I mentioned earlier, is our propellant oxidizer. And that's what's creating those white clouds around Falcon 9 that you see on your screen there, and that's when it gets exposed to the warmer ambient air. First stage finished prop loading at T-minus 3 minutes, and second stage at T-minus 2 minutes.
Going down with the volume real quick again. Thank you for the super chats. And so it might be that we actually see a fairing catch attempt tonight. That would be absolutely awesome.
Over the launch countdown. Then at about T-minus 2 seconds, the Merlin engines will light and liftoff will be commanded at T0. The Starlink payload continues to be healthy. The Falcon 9 team is tracking no issues on the rocket. Weather is still looking good, and the range is green for launch. And as I mentioned, we are at T-minus 1 minute and about 15 seconds here. So at T-minus 1 minute, we will hear that call out for Falcon 9 being in startup. And from then on, the vehicle will basically autonomously make the decision if we will be launching today.
And here we go. Startup.
Falcon 9's in startup.
Awesome.
And there's that confirmation that Falcon 9 is in startup. Next up at T-minus 45 seconds, we should hear the call out for a go for launch.
LD is go for launch.
Yes.
And there's that call out for go for launch. So as we're approaching T0, it is T-minus 35 seconds. Let's watch and listen into the nets and watch this liftoff of our
30 seconds.
Of our Starlink payload
Come
with
on.
our planet's SkySats.
Awesome. 20 seconds to go. And it's breathing. Love this
T-minus
every
15
time.
seconds.
Falcon 9 is configured for flight.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff of Falcon 9 and Starlink 8.
T plus 40 seconds into flight, and Falcon 9 has just had a successful liftoff.
Are nominal.
A successful liftoff from pad 40 for its first Starlink rideshare, carrying 3 Planet SkySats and our SpaceX Starlink satellites.
Stop talking.
Next coming up will be Max Q.
Mach 1.
And that is the maximum aerodynamic pressure that the vehicle sees, the largest structural load that the vehicle sees throughout ascent.
Love the audio right now. Listen to that sound. Wow.
Max Q.
Wow.
And there's that call out that we just passed through Max Q. Next up will be 3 events happening back to back, and that will be MECO, or main engine cutoff, stage separation, as well as second engine start, or SES1. Main engine cutoff, or MECO, is when all 9 of the M1D engines shut off and slow the vehicle down in preparation for the next event, which is stage separation. And stage separation is where the first stage separates from the second stage, with first stage making its way back to Earth and second stage taking our satellites to their targeted orbit. And then finally, will be SES-1, which is second engine start, with that MVAC engine lighting up and taking those
Vehicle is following a nominal trajectory.
satellites to orbit. Now those three events are coming up here in about 15 seconds. Again, that is MECO, stage separation, and SES-1.
Yeah, it looks absolutely awesome. It's because of the rocket now hitting the sunlight, and you get these really, really crazy color patterns. Looks really, really nice. Did you listen to that audio at launch? Damn, that was good.
Stage separation confirmed.
Look at that. Perfect.
And there, as you saw live on your screen, MECO, main engine cutoff, and stage separation. First stage being on your left screen. On your right screen is second stage with that MVAC engine glowing bright red there. On your left screen, you can see those grid fins deploying on the first stage. Those grid fins help.
Fairing separation confirmed.
And
Oh,
we
do you
just
see
had
that
fairing
those flashes
separation.
in
We
the
had
sorry to talk over this.
deployment of those fairing
That is
halves.
awesome.
Let's see if Miss Tree and Miss Chief can make a catch
Vehicle
attempt today.
continues to follow a nominal
All right,
trajectory.
killing the audio here real quick. You could see flashes in the left picture of the booster where there was thunderstorms going on the ground. That looked absolutely awesome. We're going to look into that later again. Absolutely awesome. Massive achievement again. It's so beautiful to see these SpaceX rockets perform like it's amazing.
Acquisition of signal Bermuda.
What are those? What is that? What?
Stage 2 is still looking good. We're getting a nice bright view of
What are
first
those
stage on your
flashes?
left screen. And coming up next for first stage, as it makes its way back to Earth, it will perform a couple of burns, the first of which will be the entry burn.
It looks like
And that entry burn
electricity.
is where 3 of the 9 Merlin 1D engines light up and slow the stage down as it re-enters back into the upper part of the Earth's atmosphere. The second burn is called the landing burn, and this is when the single engine on the vehicle,
that's
the
RCS,
E9
yeah.
engine, ignites
RCS.
and brings the vehicle speed down rapidly in order to
It's
land
RCS,
on
definitely.
the drone ship. And again, we are attempting to land on our drone ship. Of course, I still love you today.
I'm guessing that is a strange camera setting, maybe strange light setting too, with the sun illuminating from the back, and then you get these strange colors from the RCS system. Looks awesome though.
Really cool view of that. Second stage is still looking good. That is on your right screen.
Textbook launch so far. Absolutely good. Very nice.
And at T
Yeah,
plus
it's
5
oh
and a
so
half
party.
minutes, we're just about a minute and 15
Exactly.
seconds or so away from that entry burn beginning on that first stage.
Yeah. That's exactly what I meant before the launch, that SpaceX does an absolutely fantastic job with their camera feeds. I mean, look at this. This is just...
Vehicle continues to follow a nominal trajectory.
There's that call out that the second stage vehicle
There we
is
go.
still on a good trajectory.
Here comes the Earth. It's swung around from facing
Again, that first
westwards
stage
to
is
facing
making its way
eastwards.
back to our drone ship. Of course, I still love you.
And then it'll do the re-entry burn.
The entry burn coming up here in about 30 seconds or so.
Yeah, I agree, Aaron. It's just amazing how well these rockets perform. And that's what I meant with the Starship launch abort system. If you manage to do that reliably over 1,000 flights...
Again, if you're just now joining us, what you can see on your left screen is first stage with those grid fins deployed, guiding the vehicle back to its landing zone.
Stage 1 FTS is saved.
Beautiful. Ah, I love the green flare.
Stage 1 entry burn has started.
Green flare
And
when the
there you
Merlin
can
engines
see
light up.
that the entry burn has begun. It's lighting up that screen pretty bright there. The entry burn will last about 20 seconds long.
Yeah, Yes. Takes out all the speed now.
And that completes the entry burn for first stage.
There we
We have
go.
a really cool view
Yeah, look at
of
that.
Earth in the background
Sunrise.
of first stage. That is an awesome view.
Damn, this
Stage
is
2 is
beautiful.
still looking good. We're just about a minute away from that
Lost
landing
signal
burn.
first stage from the Cape, expected.
Steady.
And we did hear that call out that we did lose that live signal of the first stage as expected. Coming up here in at about T plus 8 minutes
Come
and
on.
21 seconds will be the beginning of the landing burn. Landing burn will last about 20 seconds long. And then hopefully we'll get to see first stage touch down on our drone ship. Of course, I still love you.
Stage 1 is transonic.
And the first morning light. Absolutely awesome.
And about 10 seconds after landing of the first stage will be SECO 1 on second stage. So we will have a couple of events happening very close to each other. So we'll listen in and wait for those call outs.
I agree that re-entry view was absolutely stunning. Also, the RCS thrusters backlit from the
Stage
sunlight.
2 has entered terminal guidance.
Stage 1 landing burn has started.
The
Landing
thunderstorm
burn has
flashes.
begun on the first stage. Again, this will last about 20 seconds long. Let's wait and watch to see if we can land this booster
Stage
for
2
a third
FTS
time.
is saved.
Yeah, beautiful.
Stage 1 landing legs have deployed.
There we go. Come on, come on, come on. Looks good. Yes.
Wow, and we got a
Yes!
live awesome view.
And
touchdown.
stage 1 is landed. Landing operators proceed to 11.100 on recovery 1 and ECF 9.
And there you heard that
That's
call out,
good.
and you can see on your left screen that stage 1 has landed on, of
That
course,
is
I
good.
Still Love You.
Looks slightly tilted,
We are
know
waiting
if
for
that's just
stage 2 for
perspective,
SECO 1, which
but
is
it looks
second engine
clean.
cutoff.
awesome. Good,
What an
good
awesome
landing.
view of that first stage.
Yes! Another one.
Nominal orbital insertion.
All right, starting TX Prime
And we-
RF1A on.
Absolutely awesome.
We did confirm
Acquisition of signal,
SECO
Newfoundland. Lost the
and
signal, Cape,
confirmed good
expected.
orbit.
They do
So
this
now
so
that second
routinely.
stage is going to coast in this orbit for a few minutes. We're going to take a quick break and return back at T plus 11 minutes and 30 seconds for the deployment of Planet's 3 SkySats.
There we go. Perfect. Absolutely awesome. I'm gonna turn the volume down real quick. Give me a second. This was textbook launch. Absolutely awesome. Well done, SpaceX. Wow, what footage. Damn. Really, really, really nice. We saw thunderstorm lightning in around Florida on the ocean. We saw colors, beautiful colors, while the booster was going up. Of perfect footage of the re-entry burn with the RCS system being backlit by the sun. How much more could we have hoped for? This is absolutely awesome. So we have the SkySat deployment coming up next. They are going to separate with 30 seconds in between. So at 12:34 they're going to start, and then every 30 seconds they're going to release a SkySat. And this looks absolutely nominal. Perfect. Really, really nice. Second stage seems to be swinging around right now. Yep. Beautiful. Man. This was worth it. Thank you all for showing up. This was definitely worth it. It's a beautiful launch. Absolutely awesome. What a day. We had Rocket Lab, and then we have SpaceX. It's buzzing in the space industry right now. It's absolutely amazing. I'm sorry, I'm still pumped here, rambling about. Is this beautiful? Thank you for the super chats. Philip, thank you for the super chat. Anybody who I have not mentioned yet, thank you. Amon San, I think I haven't mentioned yet. Greetings from Berlin. Keep up the good work. Thank you guys for the support. This helps so much you can barely imagine. It really is absolutely needed to support the ever-growing demand of the What About It studio. There we go. Give me a second.
An on-time liftoff of our Falcon 9 vehicle. A good stage separation with first stage making its way and touching down on, of course, I Still Love You, which is the third landing for this booster. And second stage is still looking good. It is coasting and getting ready to deploy Planet's 3 SkySats. And as a reminder, today marks our first Starlink rideshare mission for our customer Planet. And it's worth mentioning that we may not actually see the deployment of these due to their placement on top of the Starlink stack, where we don't have cameras positioned. So we may have to rely on confirmation over the nets. So you can see on your screen, this is the view of the
15
Starlink
seconds.
satellites, and the 3 SkySats
Also
are sitting
signal
on
Bermuda
top
expected.
of them.
Yeah, so the SkySats are sitting on the end of the stack, so it could be hard to see them actually. There we go. First deployment should have happened.
Should be hearing a call out for the first SkySat shortly.
SkySat 1 separation confirmed.
There we go.
And there's that confirmation that that first SkySat has deployed.
And then 30
These
seconds in
3
between.
SkySats.
There we go. There it is.
Oh, and it
Beautiful.
looks like we can actually see there's that first SkySat satellite.
Yep. Awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Pretty awesome view.
Yes!
We should hear a call out for the second one here shortly.
Yep.
They're deploying in about 30-second increments here.
SkySat 2 separation confirmed.
Yep.
And there's the confirmation for the second SkySat. And since we saw the first one,
15
I think we
seconds.
should be able to see that second one shortly here as well.
There we go. Awesome.
And there you can see it. Very cool views today. Now we just are waiting for that last and third, the
Should be
third and
deploying
final
right now.
SkySat here shortly.
SkySat 3 separation confirmed.
Check.
And there's confirmation of separation of that final SkySat. These 3 SkySats will be joining 15 already in orbit, and 3 more will be deploying on a separate Starlink mission later this summer, completing their fleet of 21 SkySats.
Yeah, they picked the right partner.
Now stage 2 is going to continue to coast in this orbit for a few more minutes. During this time, it will start to spin on its central axis, giving the Starlink satellites the momentum that they need to space themselves out over time after they deploy at T+26 minutes. And as I mentioned earlier, because we will not have ground station coverage at time of deployment, we will not have visual or audio confirmation of a successful deploy until we reach the next station at Diego Garcia about 25 minutes from now. So with that, we're going to take another break here and return back at T+38 minutes so that we can confirm live a successful deployment of our 58 Starlink satellites.
Cool. All right. I'm going to keep the animation running in the background. Let me just turn down the volume. Like, oh, so slightly a little bit. I'll leave the music in the background so we can get a little reminder. There we go. That was absolutely perfect. Brilliant launch. I'm amazed. You can see the heartbeat of the second stage again. That's RCS thruster firing, little course corrections. You can see the SkySats moving off into the distance there. Couldn't spot the third one. But yeah, what can I say? This is another absolutely perfect launch. Another absolutely perfect broadcast by SpaceX. The presentation, everything is absolutely flawless. Check, check, check. There we go. Another 58 Starlink satellites in orbit, and we're yet again a bit closer to actually getting service from these Starlink satellites, which should, for the United States, start rather soon, which should be really exciting to see. I'm really looking forward to first customers actually giving some feedback on how the system works, what the bandwidth is, what the actual signal delay is, and so on and so forth. That should be really exciting to see the constellation actually pick up work, and we're not that far away from that anymore. So yeah, I'm stoked. I don't know how about you, but I am stoked. This was an absolutely awesome launch. Absolutely awesome. Okay, I've a new member here. Vaiko Vuori. Thank you for joining the club. If you link your if you open up Discord, the Discord desktop app, and you link your YouTube account in your Discord app, you will get access to the What About It Discord server, where there's a huge community by now of all sorts of people some even related to Starship construction, a few other content creators, and so on and so forth, and me, of course. I'm on there every day, basically, or almost every day. And so make sure to join the Discord. It's definitely worth it, and it's one of the nicest perks you get as a channel member and as a patron. So thank you for your support. And again, anybody who I did not shout out to right now, it's really hard while the rocket launches, so I'll try to catch everybody. If I miss you, don't be mad. I'm absolutely happy about all the support I'm getting, and it does not matter if I'm happy either way if I say your name or not, because I've had it before that I actually missed a few super chats and the people were upset. Please don't be. It's just because I'm kind of early in the morning here and have a lot of stuff to do in front of the camera. So thank you for the support. All right, let me get in here and see if there are a few questions. Chris, no, wait. Chris, you gotta wait. David Zanui has given me a super chat. Thank you for the equipment. You're great, Felix. Thank you. That is very, very nice. Peter McDonald, thank you. We have liftoff. We had a liftoff. This is absolutely awesome. That was a perfect launch. Thank you for the super chat again. Night Fox, incredible. I don't know what a yen is, but it's a big number. And I thank you for the super chat. That is absolutely awesome. Thanks for all your amazing work. Here's a chunk for the new camera. Thank you. I'm hopefully gonna get it pretty soon. Leon Joder, another super chat. Thank you. I love your enthusiasm for this stuff. I've been following SpaceX since Falcon 1 and consider myself so lucky to be living during this time of space exploration. Same here, and it is easy to get excited about all of this. I mean, if you've seen this, again, this is, for anybody who's interested in space or technology, this is the peak, the pinnacle that is going on right now is SpaceX there. And they are absolutely... That is an absolutely flawless launch, landing. Maybe we'll even get a fairing catch this time. We have another 58 Starlink satellites and 3 small sat ride shares. It's, how could you top this? Yeah, well, there was this incredible Falcon Heavy mission. What was it called? I did a long episode about that. That was the craziest thing I've seen rocket launch-wise from SpaceX yet. That had insane amounts of payloads, different orbits, different inclinations, different... it was a ballet for the rocket's upper stage itself, and it was absolutely flawless. That was the most beautiful launch I was able to cover yet. But this comes close. This is really, really nice. So yeah, thank you for the super chat. Chris has given another super chat. Thank you very much for the support. We have a question from Darren. Darren Raphael. Will Orion land on the surface of the moon? The capsule, of course, won't, and that's Orion. That's the Orion capsule. It'll be the same system as with, or hope. It's hard to say. It could actually be that the Orion capsule only ferries the people to a gateway, a possible gateway, because right now NASA is looking into different landers, into private companies that actually land the astronauts on. For me, the whole Artemis mission right now is kind of hard to predict because it changes every few months. They pass a new bill, they adjust the budget, they have a new direction because somebody has a new crazy idea, and so it's really, really hard to follow what they're actually up to. Right now it is going to be the Orion capsule together with the service module traveling to the moon, and then a lander from either Blue Origin or Lockheed Martin or Ceres, what was the company? Ceratics. Somebody in the chat is gonna give me the info real soon, probably. So it's 3 private landers that have been chosen to ferry cargo and crew to the lunar surface. But that is subject to change, and that's the problem with the Artemis mission. I'm looking forward to that SLS launch. That's hopefully going to happen end of next year. And after that, the books are open for me. I don't know where the Artemis project is going to head and what's the outcome in 4 years. It's really, really hard to predict. I've done a recent episode on it. I think it was episode 95. You should look into that. And I think on episode 92, I talked about the private landers. But in the end, it's all subject to change. That's the problem with Artemis right now. They haven't really found their course yet, but they hopefully will. So, yeah, difficult to answer. We have Chris B. What happens to the second stage after everything has been deployed? Does it just carry on going? No, it deorbits. It burns up in the atmosphere because the speed of the second stage is, 28,000 kilometers per hour? And that is, if you wanted to re-enter at that speed, you would need a massive heat shield. And so that would reduce the payload capacity to minus, probably. So the second stage burns up. It just does a deorbit burn, and then lowers its orbit, touches into the atmosphere, and completely burns up. I don't think it even hits the ground. If it does, it's normally the Indian Ocean that they choose to have us as a safe zone for if parts actually manage to get through the atmosphere. But I think at that high speed, I think it doesn't even touch the ground. Would be interesting to know if it does or not. I actually don't know. Yeah, 40,000 kilometers per hour at burn up, somebody says here. Is that true, though? I think it was 28,000 that it reaches max, and then it slows down to lower the orbit, doesn't it? Oh, actually, yeah, it could be speeding up again. Yeah, it's a topic I haven't looked into that much yet, but it does burn up, and I think it's so hot that it doesn't really touch the ground. So it fades away, and there's not really another option. Sadly, recovered second stage would have been a crown jewel, but the technical difficulties and the payload capacity would be so. The hit on the payload capacity, especially, would be so hard that you couldn't launch anything with the Falcon rocket anymore if you wanted to recover the second stage. So they decided against it, and that's why they're building Starship, because that will be able to be reused 100%, not just like 80% or 75%, which the Falcon 9 does right now. We have Candy Eye Studios. Felix, is there only 58 because of the rideshare? Correct. Normally it's 60, and since one Starlink satellite is 260 kilograms, and the rideshare satellites together are 300 kilograms, they decided to leave out 2 of the Starlink satellites to get the 300 kilograms of rideshare payload plus the separators and the hardware needed to actually deploy the satellites in. And so that is the reason why there's only 58. But only 58 is an insanely high number still, so it doesn't really matter that much. Yeah, so they chose to put them on top of the Starlink satellite stack. Will Warwick, thank you for the super chat. Mars astronaut selection criteria will be key. Yeah, I totally agree, and it'll be hard to do, and training them will be a special thing, a special task, because they will have to have a lot of talents to survive especially that first wave on Mars is going to have a really difficult time. That's what I normally say if the question comes up, if I would want to travel to Mars. In the beginning, definitely no. I will have my uttermost respect for the people who go to Mars, because it'll be a tough job, it'll be very risky, and return won't be certain, basically. That's what Musk said himself as well. It is a really, really tough job. For the first wave, they will need to know a lot of things and be very, very tough with what they can take. So, yeah. Jeddi Dalek, thank you for the super chat. That is much appreciated. It all goes into the 4K camera fund, as I've said a few times on the stream now. So the money is used to improve the studio and improve the episode quality. So thank you. Leon Joder, thank you for your super chat. It's much appreciated. Do you know if SpaceX is actively working to land and reuse the second stage? I kind of answered that already. Have they made any recent progress on that? There is no progress to be made. That's the problem. They were looking into using inflatable shields, heat shields. The problem is that the speed. It all comes down to the speed, to the kinetic energy. You have to get rid of that somehow to be able to safely return the stage to the ground. So you can either use fuel, as the booster does, to slow down, do a re-entry burn, and then land. But the booster is not nearly as fast as the second stage after deploying the satellites. So on the second stage, even though it is much smaller, you would need to use a lot more fuel to slow it down. So that would reduce the payload capacity to minus a few tons, probably. The second way would be a heat shield, but then again, if you're that fast, you need a really good heat shield, and a really good heat shield is heavy, expensive. It raises complexity of the spacecraft itself, so it basically means if there is more complexity, more stuff can go wrong, and so on and so forth. So it is the Falcon 9 is the second stage of the Falcon 9 is really, really tough to recover, so they won't do that anymore. They have abandoned the project as far as I know, and they're working on Starship. So that is what will give us the 100% reusability. The Falcon 9 in that regard is still too much of a traditional rocket. It hits the limits there. It is really good at reusability, but not perfect. So I think that's going to stay the way it is right now, unfortunately. We have Rodrigo Aleman. I'm sorry. Next Falcon Heavy launch this year? Question mark. Hopefully! Exclamation mark. One Falcon 9 is still on track for, I think, Q4 2020, and if it happens and Corona is as much gone as possible by then, I hope to be traveling to Florida again, this time with the whole family, to watch the launch, but I wouldn't bet on it right now. There is so much going on. I'm always saying What About It is not a political place. That's why I haven't touched on anything of the subjects that are going on in the States right now. I'm honestly just crossing my fingers for anyone in the United States, because I'm a huge fan of the United States, and it saddens me to see what that, especially that COVID and now these demonstrations and riots came in such a short time period that it basically hits the country both at the same time, and it is terrible to see. And I really, really hope that this is that these problems are gonna be solved really soon. But right now, it's really hard to tell. So I hope that the Falcon Heavy for the end of the year is still on track, but it could very well change. So it's really hard to say, and I don't want to go into politics more, because we're watching a rocket launch right now. I have done a tweet on my opinion about all that, which I maybe shouldn't have done. I'm not too sure still, because it's a really difficult situation. If you have so many people watching you, it is really hard to find the right words. I tried, and you can look into that. But yeah, let's hope that Falcon Heavy is still on track for the end of the year. Yeah, that would be absolutely awesome. Niels, thank you for joining. Are you also going to live stream ESA and Vega launch when it airs? I would have to look into my launch calendar to see when that is. Is there any NET date on that yet, or is it still too far in the future? If you could answer that real quick, because I don't want to look into the launch calendar, because that goes too far. In general, to say about ESA launches, it is kind of difficult if it's not Rocket Lab or SpaceX, because the presentation all the other launch providers do is rather bad, to be honest. And if you don't, the reason why it's so exciting to watch these SpaceX launches is because you get this amazing footage. You can follow the whole mission. They don't just show a computer animation once it's in space, and so on and so forth. And so I'm hesitant, to say the least, to stream anything else than Rocket Lab and SpaceX right now. On one side, because I'm doing 2 episodes per week, which is already a huge workload. and on the other side because of the missing presentation style. I wish they would step up their game, put a few more cameras on top, actually put a narrator in the background who knows what he's talking about and doesn't just punch out numbers, because we normally, I mean, to be honest, we rocket enthusiasts normally have the numbers anyway. It's not the first launch we've seen, and we know what we're talking about. And so it's more, what helps a lot more is a good presentation, and they are really not doing that. So that's the problem. So let's hope they are improving on that in the future. That would be absolutely awesome. Yeah. Yeah, let's hope so. Odysseus Rex. Let's really hope so. Crossing my fingers. I really do. I'm watching the news daily, and it's a sad problem. It really is. Okay. The satellites didn't by now deploy. Raja Luka was asking, did the satellites deploy? So we got a confirmation on the rideshare satellites, and the Starlink satellites should be deployed by now, as you can see on that little bow-shaped element on the bottom, just above the countdown clock. You see Starlink. That's where they should have deployed, but we have no confirmation yet, because right now the stage is traveling in, as you can see here, above Yemen. That should be the Gulf of what's it called? What's the Gulf called? CZ something, I don't remember. So that is not covered, and so they don't have an uplink to the second stage, so they can't confirm if the separation has happened, and they should come up in another 5 minutes, if I'm correct, to give us a confirmation, and then we'll see if it was successful. And I really hope it was. Persian Gulf, yeah, but I mean the especially the where it goes into the west, that Gulf has a different name. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's just a spot where they don't have any coverage, unfortunately. So we'll have to wait. Anthony King. Strange they haven't shown the deployment of the sats. Yeah, there we go. Because the second stage doesn't have any downlink right now. We can't, there is no video footage, and there is no confirmation yet, and the confirmation should be in 4 minutes and 20 seconds or something, is what she said, when they will come online again, and then we should hopefully Gulf of Aden, there we go. Thank you very much. And then we should get confirmation on yeah, if they were successful. But so far the launch looked absolutely perfect, and so I have very little doubt that the Starlink satellite separation didn't work. So I'm just waiting for the yes, and we did it here. Gulf of Aden, exactly. Thank you guys. Yeah, there we go. Absolutely awesome. Textbook launch. We're just sitting here waiting for the next check mark. It's so cool to see how well SpaceX does with these launches. It's absolutely incredible. Now passing over the almost at the Indian Ocean. Beautiful. It's just beautiful. Let me just we have another 3 minutes or so. I would love to see a few of the. We might do that later. I'll just keep this running for now, so we don't miss the confirmation while watching the launch again or something like that. Dunolo is saying, I would love to see the SpaceX use the Starlink constellation to provide consistent uplink upload of video coverage. Exactly, that kind of stuff. As at least, I mean, the orbits, the Starlink orbits right now are what, 280 to 550 kilometers, I think, is what they're using right now. So everything below that should actually get direct link to a Starlink network, even a second stage, in theory. It's really hard to say right now, though. That would be a perfect use case for sure. it's going to be incredible how much Starlink is going to change the world too. Once the system is completely set up, the only places where you don't get any broadband internet anymore will be North and South Pole. So that is quite something, because if you look at this, the problem is most of the people watching this stream right now will be in a Western country with proper developed infrastructure and everything, and you have nice internet access and whatever. But there are lots of places on this planet that don't. Actually, if you look at the planet in the animation right now, most of the land you see there doesn't really have good internet coverage. It's just hotspots, little spots that have the proper infrastructure to get a broadband internet connection. And Starlink will enable that all over the place. So that is going to change so many things. It's actually really hard to predict what it'll change. I'm really looking forward to first companies using it, startups getting the needed impulse to finally realize their idea, people from countries that just don't have any good internet access right now finally being able to develop something, to build something, to innovate, and so on and so forth. So in theory it should ignite a whole wave of startups and thinkers and new ideas into the pool of humanity, so to say. So yeah, Starlink is pretty amazing. So if she didn't lie to us, she should be on in another 30 seconds or so. There we go. She did not lie.
So before we went to a break, we saw the successful deployment of the 3 SkySat satellites, which were ride-sharing with Starlink. At T plus 26 minutes, our 58 Starlink satellites were set to deploy. Since we did not have ground station coverage at that time, we are currently waiting to connect with the next ground station, Diego Garcia, at T plus 39 minutes, so in about 30 seconds here, and get confirmation of a successful deployment. So we're just under 30 seconds away from connecting to that next ground station, and we'll be waiting for our teams to confirm deployment after we connect. So we're going to listen in here shortly and see if we have confirmation of our 58 Starlink satellites deployed.
There we go. Let's wait and see.
Acquisition of signal, Diego Garcia.
Is that confirmation of connection to the ground station?
Starlink tension rod separation confirmed.
Yes.
And there is that confirmation of the tension rods deployed and the Starlink satellites deployed today.
Yes. There we go.
So
Perfect.
shortly after they deployed, their solar arrays deployed as well, and over the next few days and weeks, they will distance themselves from each other with that momentum created by the second stage and use their onboard ion thrusters to make their way to their operational orbit of 550 kilometers above the Earth, and then start beaming down high-speed internet to Earth. As you may have seen during our last mission, we launched the first Starlink satellite with a deployable visor to block sunlight from hitting the brightest spots of the spacecraft.
Yep.
This demo satellite, also known as VisorSat, is just one of the many actions SpaceX has taken in collaboration with leading astronomical groups to mitigate the effects of satellite reflectivity. That first VisorSat has not yet reached its operational orbit, so we are still a few weeks away from seeing the results of that effort. However, we do have confidence in this design, coupled with all the measures we're taking to minimize Starlink's reflectivity. So we plan to equip all future Starlink satellites with deployable visors, starting with the next mission later this month.
Awesome.
That will be the 9th flight of our latest iteration of the Starlink satellite design. If you want to learn more about our work with leading astronomers to protect the natural night sky for all to enjoy, you can visit the updates section of SpaceX.com. And now that brings our webcast to a close. If you're interested in getting future updates about Starlink launches, as well as general updates about future service availability, head over to Starlink.com, sign up for updates, and we'll see you at the next launch.
Thank you. All right. Awesome. Done it. Check mark on the last one that was missing in the list. Textbook launch, textbook separations, textbook landing. Flawless. absolutely awesome. I'm looking forward to the fourth flight of 1059. Forgotten it already again. Think 1059, and then it'll be 1059-.4, which is absolutely awesome. I think it was 1059. I can't find it again. Yeah, it was 1059. Yep, it was 1059. I remember correctly. Steven, thank you for the super chat. Bring on the 4K, Felix. Exactly. Okay, let me just real quick see. This should be the cast that we just saw, right?
Humans
Yep,
over the
there
weekend.
we go. Let me just
It is
real
the
quick.
final major milestone for SpaceX's human spaceflight system to be certified.
A little bit
finished
further. To re-watch the launch again, because that is, I loved the audio.
4,
Listen to the audio.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Falcon 9 switching down range.
That is not today's mission, though, is it? No, that's June 3rd, but it sounded really good, too. Let me just look up if their stream is already... There we go. That is today.
On the startup. Hear that?
There we go. The audio was really different
T-minus
today.
15 seconds.
Falcon 9 is configured for flight.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff of Falcon 9 and Starlink 8.
Vehicle switching down range.
It's T plus 40 seconds.
The funny thing about this is that the microphones were clearly located at the pad, or very, very close to the rocket, because they got the audio instantly when they had ignition. So the microphones were close to the pad, and the camera feed, of course, is a bit further away from the pad. If you watch a rocket launch live, there is a huge delay between the first sight of engine ignition, which, if you watch a night launch, ignites the whole area. And the sound, you can hear the sound much later, and that is,
Max Q.
I just love this. That is something that was amazing to see on CRS-20, which was the same booster, by the way, as today. And I just love the sound of rocket launches. Then we had the really beautiful plume that was about here, when it started to look really, really beautiful.
Coming up here in about 15 seconds. Again, that is MECO stage
Just
separation
wonderful.
and SES-1.
There are going to be some really nice pictures of launch photographers again about this launch. If you check the usual suspects on Twitter, they're probably going to have some really nice pictures of this. Yeah, there you go.
Stage separation.
Separation, everything perfect, and then comes. Let me just real quick look at the lighting. That was amazing too. That was about here. There you see these. That's flashes from thunderstorms above the ocean.
On your left screen, you can see those grid fins deploying on
That
the
looked
first
absolutely
stage.
amazing.
Grid fins help.
Fairing
There you go
separation
again.
confirmed.
Beautiful.
And we just had fairing separation. We had a successful deployment of those fairing
Absolutely
halves.
awesome. What a
Let's see if
launch.
Miss Tree and Miss Chief can make a catch
Vehicle
attempt today.
continues to follow a nominal
And then we had
trajectory.
these strange RCS puffs
And as I was mentioning,
that were
the
really
grid
nice
fins
to
have
see.
deployed
And they
back
are,
into the
as
sky.
you can
That
see
first
here on the
stage
grid
back
fin,
to
the
its landing
sun
as
is
well.
illuminating from the back, probably from this direction coming in here, because this one's completely lit and this is partly lit, so the sun's coming in from here. And the RCS cold gas puffing out of the rocket, then gets hit by the sunlight and makes it super visible. And that's why it looks like almost electrical flashes.
Acquisition of signal, Bermuda.
Beautiful to see. Yeah, beautiful to see. Awesome launch. Damn, beautiful.
Stage 2 is still looking good. We're getting
And
a
then
nice
we
bright
had
view
the
of
really,
first
really
stage on
nice
your left
landing.
screen.
Let's get that in. Come on, this preview window is, there we go.
Stage 2 has entered terminal guidance.
Stage 1 landing burn has started.
There we go.
And that landing burn has begun on the first stage. Again, this will last about 20 seconds.
Incredible
long.
sight to see as well when you see a booster landing. There it comes.
Stage 2 FPS is saved.
Stage 1 landing
Calm
legs have
sea
deployed.
there. Very good. There we go. And nailed it.
Wow, and we got a live,
Beautiful.
awesome view.
And
Yeah,
stage one
well,
is
what can you
landed.
say about this?
Landing
This is
operators
absolutely
proceed to
awesome.
100 on
Absolutely
recovery 1
flawless.
and
And then
ECS
sadly we didn't
And
get
there you
the
heard that
the
call.
separation
You
of the
can see on
Starlink
your
satellites,
left
but we
screen,
did
that's
get
stage 1.
our
It's
SkySats.
great to actually see
So
the
let's look at
deployment.
that real
The-
quick again. There we go. Separation of the first one, and then we saw them
Preparing
slowly
a call
drifting
out
off
for the first
into the
SkySat
distance,
shortly.
which was a
See,
really nice
there's
sight as
that
well. There he
first
goes.
SkySat here.
SkySat.
And the
there you can
second
see
one. And
we'll
did we
be
get the
up to
glimpse
20
of the
going to
third one? I
themselves
think we
clear. We can
didn't.
deploy until we're
No,
gonna
it doesn't look like we ever saw the third
we
one.
can confirm
Only two.
live a successful deployment of
Or this could be. Would this maybe? No, that can't be. Nope.
and there you can
Yeah, this
see
number
it.
1 and 2 is number 3. Went somewhere
Very
else.
cool
We didn't
view
see it on the
today. Now
camera
we
feed.
just are waiting
And then,
for
of
that
course, the Starlink separation. So what a launch this was. Absolutely awesome. Yeah, thank you for joining me today on this absolutely incredible launch. That was just perfect. Well done. Third one was later. Okay, I didn't catch it on the... Third one was later. Well, in the timeline it wasn't. And here the feed cut off, so... And it didn't return again. There's a... it's really hard to find here as well. There's nothing to see there anymore. So, well, I didn't catch it, the third one, but if you say that it was visible... Yep. The fairings come down later, so they should actually be down by now. So they normally say 45 minutes after launch is a fairing catch attempt. So they should be down by now, but they come down a lot further down the line than the booster, because the booster breaks and the fairings don't. So it takes them longer to get down again. Silhouette in the clouds. Yeah. Yep. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, I think I have at least a few more questions. Stephen Klöden gave me a super chat. If you did not get the shout out yet, or you get it double now, thank you for the support. Radio TV history, awesome job, Felix. Thanks for your nice and complete coverage. You're very, very welcome. I enjoy these launches. Especially launch streams are just beautiful, and I'm so much looking forward to the Crew Dragon re-entry live stream, which is going to be absolutely awesome with Marcus House. I don't know if he's still here. He was in the beginning. And TJ from I Need More Space. If you don't know them, check out their channels. I mean, it's hard to not know them if you're interested in SpaceX. And they do absolutely awesome content. And Marcus is one of my closest partners in crime. I talk to him a lot about subjects that are more behind the scenes related, actually managing the channel and stuff like that. We've helped each other a lot. So he's a dear friend by now, and it's going to be amazing to have him on a live stream again. And so we're going to have Apollo astronauts on the stream, which is going to be absolutely awesome. I'm so looking forward to this, because they can give a direct comparison between the Crew Dragon and the Apollo system used back then. It's almost exactly the same system. It's a capsule with a heat shield coming down through the atmosphere. And so it should be really interesting to see a comparison between that old technology and maybe what's changed for Bob and Dog and Crew 1 when they fly up, and so on and so forth. So that should be really, really interesting to see. I'm looking forward to that. Um, let me just look here real quick. Okay. Jema, thank you. On our last outing, I was wearing my You Rock shirt, and someone passing by said, "Nice shirt." And I said to him, "What about it?" And just walked on. It was great. I love my shirt. Yeah, I actually wore one of those You Rock shirts on recording the episode 97 that you're going to see on Monday again. And it's a special thing for me because the idea for that shirt came from a fan from Twitter. He said, "You should make a shirt out of this." And I grabbed it. I grabbed the idea and made the shirt the same evening and sent him a picture of the design, and it was absolutely awesome to actually get the idea from a fan for that shirt. So that is the support the channel shirt. It's my little thank you for anybody willing to buy some merchandise. Merchandise is the middle way of supporting the channel, basically. If you go for Patreon or YouTube membership, most of the money actually goes into the studio. And if you buy the merch, you get something in return, which is why I really like the merchandise. And I constantly work on new designs as well. It's a little thing of mine I like designing logos and stuff like that. I even did one for a Crew Dragon, even though it didn't sell that much. But that's okay. It was still fun to do. Yeah, and the You Rock shirt that was an awesome thing. Thank you, Jema. Thank you very much. T-Virus91, after your Dragon Demo 2 stream, I was really pumped. So my mom asked what's going on, and then said, "Those damn rockets, this destroys the planet. Do you have a counter argument I can bring?" The best counter argument I could bring to that is actually Tim Dodd's marathon episode about how rockets pollute the planet. You got to see it in perspective. I've had the question before too on my Discord channel. What would happen if a starship fully fueled explodes? Because the methane inside is obviously a very strong climate killer gas. Even much stronger than CO2, actually. Methane is much more potent. And so I did the calculation, and we came up with 0.0000 whatever percent of raised climate change due to a starship exploding. It's just that there are not that many rocket launches. Yes, rockets destroy the environment. And anybody saying differently doesn't know that there's toxic gas coming out of the back of a rocket. But it's compared to, for example, cargo shipping, which is one of the biggest polluters, surprisingly, because these ships burn crude oil and pump out huge amounts of very, very bad toxic fumes out of their chimneys. Compared to that industry, it is so minor that it is really hard to see, actually, if you put it side by side. And that's what Tim did on his episode as well. He visualized it, or tried to visualize it, with these typical pillar diagrams, and it looks ridiculously low. That's the point. So yeah, rockets pollute the planet, but it's just not that many launches. So every time we turn on our combustion engine car, we do a much better job of destroying everything than when SpaceX starts a rocket, because there are many more cars and many more factories and coal plants and especially, sadly, cargo ships and cruise ships as well, because there are no real regulations on their engines and they are terrible polluters. So that's the best argument I can give you, because partly she's right. On the other hand, though, there's so many, so very few launches going on. Even if we triple or quadruple the launch amounts, it still would be not that much. So, and Musk is planning to produce his own methane pulled out of the air. So it should, in theory, if he uses solar panels as he wants to for producing the methane, he should be carbon neutral, actually, with Starship launches. But RP-1, obviously, on a Falcon 9 can never be carbon neutral, or could be, but it would involve a lot of tree planting. So, yeah, that's the best I can give you there. So partly she's right, but on the other hand, it's such a minor thing compared to everything else that it really doesn't make sense to shout it out into somebody's face who loves rocket launches. So thanks for being pumped, and keep watching. I hope your mom didn't see that. Kiwi Chris Morton, thank you for the super chat. Got your hoodie and loving your work. Thank you for your support. All right. I think I'm going to quit it for today because I have a few things to do still for the Monday episode, and I still have my super cool lift off symbol here. Where's the... There we go. Hey, let me just turn this off real quick. Looks a bit more professional. So yeah, I'm gonna end the stream for today. As always, I'll keep it running a little bit more so you can keep chatting, because I hate that when I'm watching a stream and it ends, you just get kicked out. So keep chatting, keep talking about today's launch. It was absolutely amazing that all of you joined again. It's a joy to do this. Thank you for all the support. Like this stream. Consider becoming a patron or a YouTube member. It helps the channel a lot and gives you access to the Discord server, which is the best way of getting in contact with me, because I'm there all the time. I'm in the voice chat as well, so it's not just text-based. If you want to talk to me, I'm there. I'll be there right after the stream. And yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for showing up, and I hope we're going to see each other very soon on the next stream. Thank you. Goodbye.
Everywhere you go, light follows. Everywhere you go, light follows.
Discord.
Fly string.
Social features, because it's a little bit easier to configure the audio on that.
Sounds like the audio is coming through the stream now.
Not completely the same. They changed a little bit. They changed a little bit about the menu navigation, but yeah.
Aren't you using a preamp? Shure 7B. It's a good mic.
From what I see from your streams, is sometimes changing a little bit in the route can help avoiding a shitload of reverb. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to swear. I'm sorry. Oh, you mean a Soundproof? Or because spanische Wand habe ich auch. Basically soak up a lot of the reverb which might come from the walls. You have it good there because I currently live in a house built in 1942. It's reverby as hell. Mine is omnidirectional. Yeah, they are. But I do have to correct you on one thing. You said my name sounded Bavarian. I'm Uruset, by the way. It kind of sounds Bavarian. But not really, because Sepp is more common in Tyrol, which is Austria. Yes, I'm moving to Niederbayern fairly soon, but I'm from Austria. Yeah, as long as you don't drive a lorry through it. I might have to content the claim about being mounted. Okay, yeah. Some hills there can qualify as mountains. I give you. closer to the Nordschleife, isn't it? Oh, that's so awesome. And Neeland is a big island. Although not this year to loads ago. Ground fog through the clouds that just looked amazing with the Falcon just.
Everywhere you go, light follows. Everywhere you go,
Yeah.
light follows.
Was that the same launch that they also had the tracking cameras watching it the entire time, and you could see the nitrogen gas bursts from the ground?
Yeah.
That one was beautiful.
Everywhere you go, light follows.
How many have there been actually? Only the one, right?
Follows.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
How
Yeah, that looks like it's coming through a lot better now.
how about throwing them a German? How about throwing a German tongue twist at the viewers?
Oh, so they can hear everyone else. And not me. Okay. They can hear me talking to somebody who's not answering.
So for anybody still on the live stream at present, Felix is just having a couple of audio issues. He should be joining this team call shortly.
There we go. Hello, everybody. Now I'm here. So what you've heard for the last 10 minutes or so is me jumping into the Discord, voice channel, which I always do after my streams, and I thought it would be a cool idea to let you actually listen into how we talk about what just happened, and it was an incredible launch. I'm still stoked. So thank you all for joining today's stream. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was a really nice experience. I usually time my KSP playing sessions so I can watch a real launch next to it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Especially today's launch, as we said earlier, it was just the perfect thing.
And somebody just asked if the Discord is public. No, it's a supporting perk.
It is for a reason too. It's just $1 per month, and the reason why I deliberately put it behind this paywall, which is a really bad word, is to keep the trolls out, and it really does work. The community on the Discord server is just precious. I don't want to miss anyone of the people on this Discord server, and there's nobody talking flat Earth or playing pranks or anything because it's $1.
We don't welcome that talk here.
Yeah, and because of that $1 a month.
Banning for 300 seconds.
Exactly. Yeah, you banned Odysseus earlier. I saw that.
Yeah, I was when Odysseus messaged it. I was like, I looked at it and I knew it was Odysseus.
Mm-hmm.
But Frank Meyer, who's one of the new moderators,
I saw.
He was a little bit gung ho about it. He was just like, "Man, we're not taking that."
No, you don't.
That made the joke even funnier.
Yeah. No, he's a really nice guy. Actually, he's in the comment section on the videos all the time and answering questions. He's got a lot of knowledge. He's a really cool guy. He's on the Discord server too, right? Yeah, I managed to lure him in at one point.
Only took me about 3 weeks of sending him invite link after invite link via email.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really have to look into the volume of the microphone. I totally don't know why this was so low. I just don't know. That's the problem. I'll look into it.
Even when you come into the Discord call, I turn your audio up from what Discord would have it on as standard as well.
Same here.
Yeah.
Do you have your mic just going straight into the PC, or do you have like a host amp or anything like that?
This is a USB mic. The other one's like a preamp, but this one's a USB mic. And let me just real quick.
Do you have any kind of like preamp software for it that you could give the mic a? Because like usually you can set like 100% and then like 110, 20, or 30% extra mic boost.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying.
Yeah, but I think the bigger problem would be the gain in the Streamlabs software usually, because you don't need to amp it too much up
but
usually.
The gain in the Streamlabs is full. It's completely, the slider is all the way to the right.
Okay.
Is there a special gain setting there? But that wouldn't help either, because I'm
your
quiet on the
Microsoft
Discord as well. So
exactly.
Is it better now?
I mean, I don't have a hard time hearing you.
No, it's all good.
I'll switch over to the other audio. Hold on.
Test.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just soft.
I'll figure it out. It's a new
I
problem.
mean, do you by chance have any of the noise cancelling filters applied in the Streamlabs software?
It's not about the software. We're hearing him not
Quiet-
as loud as
yeah,
usual as well.
quietly
So
as
the
well.
problem must be somewhere else.
I'll figure it
Felix,
out.
if you
Don't worry.
turn everybody else's volume down in the live stream, they'll account for it.
Yeah, that's what I just did that. So now everybody has to turn the volume. Yeah, I'll have to really find out what the problem is there. We'll figure.
Yeah.
I promise I'll figure it out.
Oh, got you up to 200%.
Yay! I need the
If you
200%.
go to voice and video in Discord, you should be microphone volume there.
It's not Discord though. It must be related to the OS itself, because everything is volume down. So it is not Discord or.
If you're streaming through the Discord at
Good
present,
one.
you have the call on there with your audio, then it would at least hopefully try and balance it out for the stream for now.
Oh, it's okay. I'll figure it out later. I'll find the cause.
It was a nice stream.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Loved it too. It was beautiful launch. Just a beautiful launch.
So the one person that was asking about is Felix's mic still hot in YouTube? Looks like they just joined the server, brand new.
Yeah,
Roadkill.
they did.
Yeah, my mic's still on. Yay! I'm still here. I'm on the Discord server right now, on the voice channel on the Discord, and we thought it would be a cool idea to let you people listen into how we reflect on the launch, as we always do. After I quit my streams, I jump on the Discord server and talk to all the moderators and people who help, and it's always a lot of fun because I can't talk to these people while the stream's going on. What you say, Aaron?
I was saying all the moderators, all the people that help, and then me that's just considered furniture.
Exactly.
Yeah, well,
Right there with you, buddy.
I mean, I'm also just furniture who even just joined the YouTube membership today, so
yep,
he's really open to that. I can account for that for the guys watching the stream still.
Yeah, everybody's welcome here. That's for sure.
I mean, I can say by far that I came on board to help the brand when Felix and Steffi were a little bit newer to YouTube. And off the back of that, I started to learn Discord, and I'm in a lot of servers. And the community here, by far, is one of the most friendly, open, honest, and nice communities that I've seen on Discord.
I second that.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, I love it too. There's always some chatter going on about the latest and greatest, and it's always nice to see.
That $1 a month that people can gain access to the server for, if nothing else, if they're not a sociable person, but they like being on the pulse with Rocket News, that $1 a month is well invested on this server, just because every one of the engaging members over here is on that pulse in one way or another, whether it's, you know, we've got Sammy and the like that are awake together, you know, when we can't be online, what happens with an Electron launch, and all the people that
different town signs.
look at different technologies and that have different parts of space that fascinate them and all coordinate here. Just that alone is worth $1 a month of anybody's money. It's a cup of coffee.
It's by now it kind of feels like a little train station for rabbit holes or something. It's just constantly rearranging itself. Here somebody pops up a new idea and everybody dives into researching it or discussing what's happened in Boca Chica, whatever. There's always something going on here.
Last night was a good example when Ryan was talking about that particular Mars mission. And
yeah, exactly.
He was talking about footage that he had as a DVD, and then before he could even finish his sentence, the link was there for you.
The Troy mission, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm gonna read this afternoon. Actually, that's why I actually didn't stop the stream early, did I? But yeah, I have a few things to do this afternoon because I'm going in for an in-depth episode again, which is going to be really, really awesome.
Welcome, Roadkill.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Thanks for joining.
Welcome.
Did you all get to see the cool Twitter shots, the photos that people were taking of the launch?
Not yet.
The SpaceX launch.
Yeah, not yet.
No, not yet.
Have to look into
There are
it.
some on Twitter, actually, and this is another good reason to join the Patreon and YouTube subscription is the bots and the bot news Reddit and Reddit and Twitter channels, because Gavin was retweeting something from Julia Bergeron, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, from NASA spaceflight, and the shot is just absolutely brilliant. It's a beautiful orange glow.
Yep, found it. Beautiful. Yeah, the bots are doing a really good job if you don't want to sift through all the different sources on yeah, that is a beautiful shot. Yeah.
Isn't it though?
Yeah. It was the perfect launch for pictures. It really was.
I've just posted a video in the general channel on the server.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's the kind of stuff.
Oh my god.
Yeah, look at that. Oh god, this is beautiful. And that's what I mean. It didn't look that spectacular when Sammy and I watched the launch at CRS-20, but it was pretty darn impressive to actually see the second stage do its RCS thruster maneuvers in space, and you could still see it from the ground.
R&D.
Brilliant. Hey there.
Wow.
Hello.
Hey Randy.
Oh yeah, those photos look really awesome.
Yeah, that's these twilight shots. That's like a painting in the sky.
It's like the Iridium mission again. Like, it's just beautiful. Oh my god.
Cool pics. Thanks for sharing.
So, as always, guys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me for another awesome Starlink launch.
Of course.
You're welcome.
And thank
Enjoy
you
your day.
for joining us on the stream today. And take care, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day.
You too, Aaron.
Aaron, have a good one.
Thanks for the help.
See ya.
Bye. All right, guys, and I'm gonna say goodbye as well, but I'll be back. I'm probably gonna spend most of the evening on The Voice because I'm gonna be researching anyway all kinds of stuff, and then I normally jump on the Voice channel. But for now, I need to get a bite to eat, and yeah, probably be back in 2 or 3 hours.
Okay, Felix, have a good one.
But one thing, Felix.
Yes.
One thing, Felix. Lass dich nicht aufhalten.
Danke.
Wait, I'll be gone as well then. Talk to you later on.
Steffi,
See y'all.
give Thrust Pack a kiss for us.
Yay! Yeah, the little kittens. For anybody who doesn't know, we got 4 little kittens, and their names are Apollo, Artemis, Thrustpuck, and Twang.
Bang.
Twang.
So there we go. All right. Yeah. Talk to you later.
See ya.
See you.
Alright.